Hello and welcome to Pat's Chat Emergency Podcast Edition with Michael Hurley, Michael's favorite thing in the world, an emergency podcast. Patriots expected to hire Josh McDaniels as their offensive coordinator. Kirk Minahan of Barstool was first on it, confirmed by multiple people within the last hour or so. So Patriots have an offensive coordinator. Exciting stuff. Expected to be announced maybe within the next few days. I think maybe all the coordinators will just be all announced all at once rather than one by one. But we've talked about this quite a bit. What's your reaction to it becoming, I guess, somewhat official?
Well, we should first start by saying you're welcome to anyone listening, right? Like, you're welcome. This is an emergency.
Yeah, it was an
And who do
emergency.
you call in an emergency? Podcasters. And
Yes.
they will emergency podcast for you in an emergency. So you're welcome. Very brave of us to stand in here in emergency podcast. But we did discuss this just last night and we weighed the pros and cons. We can go through it now that it's more official. But I think if we were to be fair, right, which I believe we strive for here on the Patch Chat podcast, is fairness and no, not consistency, because we're allowed to change our minds, but fairness. What across the board would you say you and I and a lot of other people would have criticized the coaching staff from top to bottom last year?
What would we have criticized them for?
What was the common thread that we could use to criticize the staff?
Inexperience. Yeah.
Inexperience.
Yeah.
So if you look at Josh McDaniels, however you might feel, you have lots of feelings, thoughts, analyses about Josh McDaniels. You know that you have a guy who's been in every situation, a guy
Yes.
who's done it forever, and is going to be able to run his offense without much help and oversight from the head coach. Like, it'll be a collaborative effort. Don't get me wrong, but he is going to be able to do his job without anyone having to worry about it. He's called plays before. He's come up with game plans before. He's had the most demanding boss in football for most of his career. It's very good in that sense, in that you have something that's established.
100%. And obviously, not all of this credit goes to Josh McDaniels. But in his tenure as Patriots offense coordinator, now back in his third tenure as Patriots offense coordinator, I believe the Patriots only missed the playoffs twice during his two runs. One was in 2008,
Oh, wait.
which he did such a good job they got hired away by the Broncos as their head coach.
Yeah.
So clearly was not on him. And then the next time was in 2020 when it was Cam Newton, and the Patriots basically decided that year, like, you know what? We're not going to be good. We're just not going to spend any money. We're not going to try to improve our team.
They were like, let's
This is the
see what
COVID
we
year.
got. Let's see what we got in Matt Lacoste. Let's see what that kid's got.
This year we're just going to kind of suck. And then a year later, he makes the playoffs with Mac Jones and gets hired away as a head coach again. So good track record in the offense. Clearly, a lot of those years were Tom Brady, loaded rosters. I always make the point in 2008, did it like Matt Castle. I haven't looked at Matt Castle's career stats in a while, but borderline career year for Matt Castle. The
Well,
Patriots
he
did
hadn't
go
played since high school. Like, that was the
right.
accomplishment there. I think the 08 season gets twisted because they went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs. And it was like, well, it's like they
I think it
did
was 11
lose.
and 5, wasn't it?
Was it 11? Oh boy, I'm
Yeah.
getting old.
Still, they
Either
went
way,
from 16-0 to 11 and 5.
it was a 5-game drop off where you're like,
Yeah.
that is like from going 12-4 to 7-9. See that
Right.
math? That was quick.
Yeah.
But it was more about, you took a backup quarterback who had, granted, at that point had been in the league for 3 years or 4 years. He hadn't started a football game since high school, and he stepped in and was prepared and efficient. And I think that was the great accomplishment that year. It's not like they still had Randy Moss and Wes Welker, so it's not like it was a nothing offense
and a loaded offensive line.
Yeah. So, but it was a good job. It wasn't like oh my God, I got to hire this guy. I'm the Denver Broncos. Whoopsies. But it was a good job.
Matt Castle had a 63.4 QBR that year. That was the highest mark of his starting career. So
Boom.
you could say career year for Matt Castle. As you mentioned, having Randy Moss and Wes Welker certainly doesn't hurt matters there. But Josh McDaniels back with Mike Vrabel, getting the band back together, all except one guy. We'll see how many other former Patriots assistants, follow along here. We'll see how many of them still have homes in the area, but overall, you could have done a lot worse than this.
Do
And
you
as we
think
1,000 times, high floor, not necessarily the highest ceiling, but it's what everyone expected and it's what happened.
Do you think they can get Jerry Shaplinski back as the quarterbacks coach? Because I remember when he left, I think it was 2019. People were like, "Oh, Pats are losing an important coach and Jerry Shaplinski." I'm like, I think Tom Brady's going to be okay without Jerry Shaplinski. But
Yeah,
maybe I was wrong. Maybe that's why they didn't go far in 2019. So, but there are a lot of those coaches in the heyday
yeah,
that are probably available. Like I don't know what Chad O'Shea is doing, and
right.
uh, there's a
I'm
handful of guys
madly
that.
Googling former, like Bo Hardigree was the Titans quarterbacks coach last year. So probably wouldn't expect him to be back.
Uh-huh.
Chad O'Shea, wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator with the Browns. We'll see if Kevin Stefanski blames the offense on him or not, but you'd think that he'd probably be back in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't know what Jerry's up to. Jerry Shaplinski.
He's the most
Um,
important coach of all time. And now
he
uh
was a senior offensive assistant with the Rams last year.
we should okay. Well, I don't think you need Jerry Shaplinski. I was kidding, but I should say because all last year as the offensive line was floundering and just getting worse, I'm sure you saw it. People were just like, Can Dante come and help? And it's just like, no, let the man retire. So I think it's safe
Yeah.
to say Ivan Fears and Dante Scarnecchia will not be coming out of retirement. So there's a need for new coaches as well.
I first of all, one other one, Mick Lombardi. He was a assistant under Josh McDaniels with the Patriots and the Raiders. He was a senior offensive assistant last year with the 49ers. It would be interesting if he got rehired. Mike Lombardi might have to delete some of his tweets from the last few years, but maybe not. I don't know. He
I
would
don't
certainly
know.
probably change his tune about the Patriots this year, which he might have
What
already done.
One thing, the other development that was shortly before that Minahan tweet went out was Peter Schrager saying the Mike LaFleur
Oh
New England
yeah,
connection was not going to happen. So I don't know how related those were, but that was sort of one of the higher names in terms of discussions that weren't McDaniels that were being at least discussed externally. But it seems as though that was never going to happen. So
yeah,
I don't know what
absolutely.
factor that had in this.
Right. No, absolutely. No, it'll be interesting to see who he brings along as his offensive line coach. I don't know what Carmen Brasillo's up to these days or Cole Popovich, but could be a lot of guys moving back to the area. Hopefully, if they do, and if they have kids, hopefully they've got friends in the area that they're excited to see. But I ran some stats.
Okay.
I know that you're not always the biggest stats guy,
I love stats, Doug.
but in 2020, obviously wasn't the best year for the Patriots offense, but the Patriots did have Cam Newton as their quarterback for most of the season. And I think that gives an okay look at what a Patriots offense or a Josh McDaniels offense would look like with a mobile quarterback. I think it's safe to say that Drake Maye, much better passer at this point in his career, or should be a much better passer than Cam Newton. Cam Newton, probably more durable with his legs, so maybe you'd want to run him more than
He
Drake Maye,
also
but still,
he had the issue where he couldn't throw a
right.
lot of passes,
Yeah.
which sucked.
So they ran him a
Um,
lot. But
yeah,
still, in 2020, Cam Newton ran the ball 137 times, and only 20 of those were scrambles. So that is a far different ratio than last year with Drake Maye, where he had like 3 or 4 design runs all year and they all came in one game.
in the
Um,
Buffalo game.
and looking back, it does make sense to protect Drake Maye, but like the amount of weeks he played without a single design run, as I take a step back,
Yeah,
think of that as being a little bit silly. Like,
and how it played out. We've talked
yeah,
about it where it was sort of Van Pelt being like, "Well, we got to protect him," and then he goes out that week and has 7 designed runs,
right.
and it was like, "Well, what changed?" So there
Yeah,
was miscommunication from whether that was front office, whether that was head coach. I don't know. Van Pelt felt like he couldn't do it, or maybe it was Van Pelt protecting him for
yeah,
whatever reason. But it was weird. I think while you want to protect a kid, it's football. I mean, you don't want to do what Notre Dame did last night and just run Riley Leonard up the gut 9 times on
right.
the opening drive and have him suck for the rest of the night. So it's
Yeah,
a balance, but I do think there's room to use. It's like having a tool and not using it. It's
yeah.
silly. So he'll be
It's
able to use it.
it's getting a brand new tool and being like, I'm not going to use that right away. I don't want to damage it. I don't want to break it. I don't want to ruin
Right.
it. And then going an entire year and then being like, oh, let's use the tool. Let's use the tool.
Right.
And then the other one that I want to say was that the Patriots ranked 4th in play action rate that season with Cam Newton. So Josh McDaniels, not always highest, rating among play action rate, but obviously the Patriots run game was a big strength that year, or was a bigger strength in their passing game. So it does make sense for that old school mentality to use play action when your run game is going well. But I think that's also a sign that with a mobile quarterback, if the Patriots can get their run game back in order, we could see a high play action rate with Drake Maye, and we could certainly, or we should see a lot more designed runs with Drake Maye or with Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator than we did last year with Alex Van Pelt. I do have some more stats, but I'll give those in a second.
Let me throw in, because I had to check it myself, because I know James White got hurt in that 2020 season. So the running back room was Sony Michel, who was still here, and J.J. Taylor. And then you had Jakob Johnson in there at fullback, according to the opening day roster. So it's not as if they had one of their better running backs rooms. And the receivers, remember, like Demir Bird was the number one option going deep. They had, was that Lacoste and Izzo still there at tight end?
So it was Damian Harris,
Keen.
Damian Harris, Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, James White were the top running backs that season. And then as far as wide receivers go, Jacoby Myers, Demir Bird, and then 3 was James White, 4 was Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry was 5.
Yeah, Edelman got hurt. We focus on Cam Newton because he couldn't hit a 5-yard out, unfortunately for him. But that was a roster that was not as bad as last year, but pretty bad. So that's a factor in all of the output and the usage and everything like that.
Absolutely.
I
would say the offensive line in that team was probably better than last year's, just because I think every other offensive line I've ever watched in my life was better than last year's. So it's like a safe bet that the offensive line was better.
My memory of December, there's no stat for this, I'm sorry, but being up in the press box, it felt like at a certain point McDaniels kind of gave up that year, where it was just like, there were games where I'd sit up in the press box in that empty stadium in the eeriest setting of all time.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were running my high school offense. Like I formation, tight end, 2 receivers out wide running slants. And it was like, this is the most unimaginative thing. So I don't know what happened toward the end of the year, but it felt like whatever was going had run out of gas completely.
So in 2020, the Patriots had a loaded offensive line in comparison to last year. Obviously, my alarm's going off. The guys were Joe Thuney, very good football player. Michael Wenu, he was great as a rookie. Shaq Mason, another very good football player. David Andrews, healthy for 12 games. Isaiah Wynn, better left tackle than right tackle. And then Jermaine Luminor played quite a bit that year as well.
To the numbers, that offensive line was the best of all time compared to last year's Patriots offensive line. So
I think most Patriots fans would probably trade something valuable in their lives to have that offensive line back. I want to give you another set of numbers real quick. And this isn't the greatest thing to talk about in podcast form because you kind of got to follow along with what I'm saying here. But basically what I did, I went on a website, rbsdm.com, and ran what the Patriots numbers were from 2020 and 2021, and then what they were in 2022 to 2024. So 2020, 2021, that is Josh McDaniels is an offensive coordinator without Tom Brady. 2022 and 2024, that is other Patriots offensive coordinators without Tom Brady. Patriots ranked 14th in EPA per play with Josh McDaniels, 31st with other guys in the helm there.
Yep.
Success rate 6th, 26th with the other guys.
Yep.
22nd in dropback EPA, not great, but better than 29th with the other guys. Yep. 12th in dropback success rate, 27th with the other guys. Rush EPA, 2nd. Rush EPA with the other guys, 29th. And rush success rate with Josh McDaniels, 1st in the NFL in those 2 years. With the other guys, 24th. So obviously there's a ton of other factors here in play, but simply looking at the numbers with McDaniels as the offensive coordinator versus numbers with Patricia, O'Brien, and Van Pelt as the offensive coordinators, I would say that the edge goes to McDaniels in every single category there.
There you go. I would just sum it up with the greater than symbol because that's what you do on the internet. McDaniels greater than Patricia, O'Brien, Van Pelt. Neither here nor there. I'm still shocked at how ineffective Bill O'Brien was in that role 2 years ago. I thought he'd be better than that. So
I agree.
neither here nor there.
It was pretty strange. Clearly, I think the personnel didn't help much, but like, being worse than Patricia was a big surprise. Yeah.
Yep. But that's neither here nor there. So my bad for bringing that up. But yeah, I guess the reason there may be some, like, let's get to what people might feel negatively or sourly about this. You were used to a certain standard with Tom Brady that obviously was not there. Even when Mac Jones was having one of the better rookie seasons for a quarterback, it's still, everyone kind of knew that could only go so far. And lo and behold, you go to the playoffs, you can't do anything. You're losing by 50. It's a bad night. So I think that, but maybe now with those 3 years that you just mentioned, enough of those, I don't know, the baseline standard here has been completely flushed out that this is probably a good coach to establish a new baseline standard, which is a functional offense that taps into everything Drake Maye can do.
And you don't have to wonder, like, can this guy call plays? Because that was an issue in 2022 with Matt Patricia. That was an issue in 2024 with Alex Van Pelt. It shouldn't have been an issue with Bill O'Brien, but for some reason, the offense was an issue. By the way, apparently someone's ears are burning. Do you get emails about Cam Newton sent to your inbox from a certain someone?
No. Like a PR pitch?
I wouldn't say it's a PR pitch. There's someone who's very invested, it seems like, in Cam Newton who emails me frequently. And I just looked as we were speaking here. Since October of 2024, this person has emailed me about Cam Newton 48 times. And I got one as we were podcasting.
What's the gist? What's the message?
Positive Cam Newton, like in favor of Cam Newton.
So someone's just writing you opinions about Cam Newton, saying he was good or is good?
Pretty much, yeah. That, like,
for
the media
no
didn't
reason.
give him a fair shake. That but it's not like it's not like that so much. But it's
I've encountered
this person will forward me articles from other people with no message attached that's just about Cam Newton.
Yeah, I've experienced someone on Twitter that even when I wrote complimentary things about Cam, this person would find bits and pieces in there to be like,
they used to tweet at me quite often too.
Yeah, interesting take, because I was as much of a positive Cam person as there could be.
I stayed right down the middle. I really didn't. I try to stay down the middle about everything, but especially with Cam Newton, after some of the early discourse, like positive and negative, I was just like, you know what, staying down the middle on this one.
I wrote a big long thing because people said, like, oh, he couldn't hit a barn or whatever, and I did a story with GIFs, and it's like there were a lot of good throws, and still in that story, this person I remember attacking me for being whatever. So it was there is definitely the I won't say the cult word, but it seems a bit culty. Again, not here nor there.
You didn't say cult, you said culty, so it's different.
Right. I'm not saying you're in a cult. I'm saying the way you're behaving is that of someone who might be in one.
Right.
It's cult-like.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cult-like. So I don't know. Overall, like I said, or like we've said in the past, would have been more exciting if they had hired what was the
Udinsky?
Yeah, Udinsky. I should have known that. I've had a busy day. For people who follow me on social media, you know that. But yeah, Udinsky. Like, if they had hired Udinsky, like a 29-year-old, people in our comments call the younger offensive coordinator candidates the tight pants guys. So if they had hired like the tight pantsiest of tight pants guys, would have been entertaining. Would have been interesting. And who knows, in 4 years, 5 years, when Udinsky is the head coach of the Panthers or whatever it is, and they're going to the Super Bowl, like, maybe the Patriots will say, like, damn, we should have hired Udinsky. But
but I think it goes back to and that's what I was thinking, where it's like there's like potential, there's upside, there's the thought that maybe you found the next Sean McVay. And
Yeah.
again, like Sean McVay is not some hero to football. He's a good offensive football coach, but maybe you found the next
Right.
rising star rather than a guy who's kind of been there, done that. But maybe you don't, and that's the
Right.
risk. Maybe
Yeah.
you get a guy who's in over his head. Doug, I know it's social media. I know it's hype stuff. Did you catch the Ben Johnson stuff today? Were you
Yeah.
moved? Were you inspired, or were you like, oh, yeah, well, I don't. Good luck. So like you actually don't know, and I get that that's not a reason to make a safe hiring, but it's a reason to maybe not make the dangerous one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is a dumb way of looking at this, but maybe I'm just putting on my Pollyanna-ish point of view right now. Like Drake Maye himself offers so much upside and potential and ceiling as a quarterback that like hiring the stable head coach and offensive coordinator isn't necessarily the worst thing. Because you've like if you're
Yeah, you
it
could screw
provides
it
a
up.
stabilizing force. It provides someone who's done it before. There's no question about, like I said before, whether he knows how to call plays or run an offense. Like under Bill Belichick in that like late era after he left the Colts or after he ditched the Colts, he was basically the head coach of the offense. So like
Right.
you've got a head coach, you've got a head coach of the offense, and then we'll see what they wind up doing with defensive coordinator. By all the reports and the wording of the reports recently, certainly sounds like Terrell Williams, the Lions defensive line coach slash he was an assistant head coach under the Titans. Seems like that's probably going to be the hire. Like I don't know that for sure, but I have some questions about hiring a defensive line coach as a defensive coordinator 2 years in a row, but he's certainly a lot more experienced than DeMarcus Covington was. And I don't think that you should base your hires off what didn't work last year. But I don't know. It's a pretty decent group if those are the three guys, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Alex Van Pelt was a former quarterback. Josh McDaniels at not William and Mary. What college did he
John
play at?
Carroll,
John
different names.
Carroll. Was he a receiver though, right?
He was like he like broke records with Nick Casario.
Yeah. So that's why they had to switch that up. So maybe they should have gone not D-line. But just to put a bow maybe on the McDaniels thought, where you said Drake Maye having that upside is the appeal. And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago when we were discussing offensive coordinator possibilities. And the dream scenario, if you're the Patriots, is that you have a guy that was in the news today. His name is Tom Moore. Will be coming back for his 49th season next year with the Bucks to just stand on the sideline with his glasses and look grumpy and whisper brilliant thoughts to the quarterbacks. McDaniels could be that guy for a long time. I'm just saying he's 49, I think. So you've got 30 plus years if this works out. The duration of Drake Maye.
What are you setting the odds for Josh McDaniels getting a third head coaching opportunity? Are you like plus 300?
Oh, this is plus 10,000. I just think it's one of those things where, let's say his second opportunity was with a decent franchise. I don't know. Say you got Miami or Houston or whatever. It didn't work out. The team that would eventually come calling would be the Raiders, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But he's already used up that card. I just don't see another franchise making that move ever. I mean, they were pretty catastrophic. I mean, McDaniels was what, halfway through year 2, right, of a 5-year deal?
Yeah. And he didn't last 2 years in either job, right?
Right. And he started 8-0 in Denver and then ended poorly, and it was
like he's 48. 48 still like pretty young for a I think I said this on something, but like maybe I forgot when it was. Might have been the first round of the playoffs at some point recently. I was looking through like old cards to see like, okay, which of these can I throw out? Which of these should I save to see if they're whatever? And like every head coach was in like his 50s and 60s. It seemed like at that point, like like young coaches did not exist.
Right.
So I do think that like he's still relatively young for an NFL coach.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know what he would have to do with Drake Maye. Like, I guess they would probably have to win like multiple Super Bowls, right?
Yeah. Bill Belichick was 48 when he got the Patriots job.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And he did it for 20
But
years.
yeah, I guess, and if that's the case, then so be it. You've won multiple Super Bowls. But it
Yeah.
probably would take something enormous like that because we were talking about Cliff Kingsbury the other day. He's only failed once, and it was with
Yeah.
Arizona, not a great franchise. Kyler may not be a great quarterback. He's good. And he's still earning his second chance.
Yeah.
So to think of a third chance, I don't know. I should
You
know.
also have
We
to
should know
factor
this.
in him ditching the Colts, like him being like, ah, never
Yeah,
mind. Yeah.
that was hilarious, which I hope Bill Belichick does to UNC. But we should know this, Doug.
Well, hopefully Josh McDaniels doesn't do it to the Patriots.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. But how many third chance guys have there been? Like Pete Carroll, third chance guy. He had the
Yeah.
Jets and the Patriots.
He
Uh,
could be a
Bel-
fourth chance guy.
he could be. Belichick doesn't count. I mean, he was HC of the MYJ for a day. I'm not going to
Right.
call that one. So a second chance guy. I'm sure that Parcells not is different. He retired. He didn't get fired. He retired from the Jets and then came back for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Coaches that have been fired twice and then got a third job. There's definitely going to be a handful, but you've got to be a good coach.
Wade Phillips. Did he get 3?
Well, were the Cowboys the second?
I think so. Maybe
This is going to be good. This is going to be good.
This is going to be good. Let's check in here. He was head coach of the Broncos. He was head coach of the Bills, and he was head coach of the Cowboys.
And he was interim head coach of the Falcons, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Don't forget his time.
I went to a Reddit thread. Reddit looks like Marty Schottenheimer might have had 4 chances.
Okay. Yeah, like I'm not saying it's
but like it's rare. It's like yeah.
And I
Not
don't
a
know
lot
that I would say what it takes to get that third chance. You've got to be a sort of upper echelon coach.
You can't have bottomed out and failed as drastically as Josh McDaniels did in the first 2 opportunities to get a third, unless you're young, which I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I would put it. I probably wouldn't put 10 plus 10,000, but like plus 1,000, plus 800, somewhere around there. I think
Mike McCarthy's going to be a third-time head coach, I'm sure, but
yeah, once again,
technically wasn't fired.
Right, contract just ran out. Now, speaking of Schottenheimers, they're probably going to hire Brian.
Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting. Do you have any thoughts on the Baseball Hall of Fame?
We might have talked about, probably it was off air. I used to play the game, like I'd write my columns and have opinions and sling them around, but over the past 12 years, maybe, what the tipping point for me, I think, was my whole life. I was told that, boy, would it be amazing to see someone win the Triple Crown. It hadn't happened since long before I was born. And then it happened, and it was kind of like, oh, it was with the Detroit Tiger, and barely watched. And it just, I don't know. There's been a lot of lack of passion, I would say, for me when it comes to certain things like the Hall of Fame. So I will spin it back to you, Doug. What do we got on your Hall of Fame thoughts?
So who is it? It's Billy Wagner, Ichiro, and there's a third guy, right? Who was the third one who got in?
I was eating dinner, so I don't know. CC Sabathia.
So I don't know.
I mean,
Ichiro's obvious.
Did he miss unanimous by 1 vote? Wagner, I think I literally saw a tweet. I have not followed it. Was he 1 vote shy of unanimous?
I think he was 1 vote shy of being unanimous. Yeah, there's
another
always that
reason
guy.
to love
that one guy.
Another reason to love that process.
Right.
Wagner, I don't know. I've seen people make the case. It's always like, I don't really need a Hall of Fame with Billy Wagner in it.
That's kind of my opinion on it. And CC, I don't know. I'm
CC
sure
was a
there's like
badass.
Yankees fans who are listening. Who are like, of course he deserves it. But like 6-time All-Star, I just feel like, I know baseball's changed, but it used to be like you'd have to be like a 10-time All-Star to get in the Hall of Fame. It felt like.
All right. I would go to Baseball Reference, but we know what that.
I'm on it if you have any questions.
No, my favorite CC year of all time was prior to the Yankees in 2008 when he made 17 starts for the Brewers after getting traded there, pitching. Where are my innings? I'm sorry, I'm on an unfamiliar website here.
130 innings.
And having a 1.65 year. They rolled him out like every 15 minutes to start a game. He's like, I guess I'll go 8 innings today. That was
Do you,
unbelievable.
do
So
you know what
he
is
was
kind
a
of
good.
funny? Do you know what is kind of funny though about baseball? Is that like obviously everyone like all-star games matter, like all-star appearances matter, but like you're being voted halfway through the year. So like
Right,
some guy could have a monster second half. Like that year, CC Sabathia was not an all-star, despite
right.
the fact that, as you're saying, like the second half of that year, he was historically great. He
That's a
had a
good point.
fantastic year. He was sixth in MVP voting, but wasn't an all-star because he wasn't that great in the first half. Like maybe we
I
should weight all-star appearances a little bit less in baseball since you're only taking into account like 80 games.
wouldn't you rather have a guy who has a great September than a great June?
Right. And
I
like,
think they
shouldn't
do.
there be,
They
I
do
don't
have like
know.
a postseason all-star team, sort of like NFL as all
Well,
pro.
there's like Silver Slugger and but that's just batting. Yeah.
I think they have an all-star team, or at least the NHL does. We
I
should
don't
know
know.
this.
I've
I
never
used
heard,
to be
like,
a
I
professional
was a
bug.
huge baseball fan. I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
There should be like, yeah, there should be Pro Bowl, like All Star should be like Pro Bowl, but there should
Yeah.
also be like an All Pro for baseball. But I don't think that exists.
I got to be honest. I think CC's a Hall of Famer. He's got a kick-ass
All right.
resume. Pitched a million innings.
250 wins.
The last of a dying breed to like actually be a
Yeah.
workhorse. So I
That's fine.
support that one. 2 for 3, not bad on the Hall of Fame this year.
Billy Wagner, 7-time All Star, 27.7 WAR. I don't know.
I,
Closers are tough. He was a great closer. He was one of the best. But I mean, I've probably said this on this podcast before, but like, I feel like for me, Hall of Fame was like, was I excited to get this guy's baseball card? And I can't say I
mm,
was that psyched about a Billy Wagner baseball card back in the day.
I got a fun fact for you as we do Sox talk. Well, first let's do takes like who got snubbed. So the first one out was Beltran at 70%. I don't need Beltran in the Hall of Fame. Great player for '04 was unbelievable. Andrew Jones 66%. I'm biased because we all watched TBS growing up during that era. A-Rod at 37%, Manny at 34, never going to happen. Pettit at 28%. Pedroia 12%, pretty good for him considering he had half a career. So there you go. There's your baseball talk. But here's a fun
You know
fact
what?
for you.
Beltran, like, I agree with you on Beltran. 9-time All Star, 3-time Gold Glover, 2-time Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year, 70 WAR. Like, he
Yeah,
probably should be in, but
I
I
guess
I
so.
agree that it's not like that exciting.
Right. I mean, he was. I don't know. It's hard when I mention A-Rod and Manny and they're not involved. It's kind of a
Well,
silly game
it's
replay.
ridiculous that like
That guy
A-Rod and
took it.
Clemens and
Guy did.
Manny
Yeah.
aren't in. But
Um.
Andrew Jones, I have a strong take about Andrew Jones, and I do think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I know that he's like an ultimate first half of his career guy, but best defensive outfielder of his era, and also a guy who hit like 400 home runs. I like
Yeah.
it's mind blowing to me that he's not in
Should
the Hall of
be
Fame.
him and Chipper from that era should be in. But here is my fun fact for you. So I was doing this prior of the 12 all-time save leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 12 played for the Red Sox.
Wow.
And now that they have Aroldis Chapman, he's 16th, so that's 8 out of 16. But yeah, Lee Smith, Kenley Jansen, Craig Kimbrell, Billy Wagner, Dennis Eckersley, Jonathan Papelbon, Jeff Reardon. So there's your fun
Wow.
fact. The Red Sox love all-time closers.
Wagner was like really good until his career. He was an all-star his last season. Did his arm just like fall off? What happened?
I guess
He
so.
had a 1.43 ERA his final year in the big leagues.
I don't know what to tell you. I can't contribute to the stat conversation because I will lose connection to you. But yeah, I don't care that much. I did go to the Hall of Fame in like
I've been
2012,
twice.
2013.
Yeah.
I hadn't been since a kid. It was a good trip. I recommend it.
Oh yeah, I haven't been like super recently. I think the last time I went was like, no, I went. I saw Griffey get inducted, but that was kind of like a in and out type of thing for my dad and I. We drove there, saw it, and drove back.
Yeah, it's a good take like in the winter when no one's there.
Definitely, absolutely.
For
Can't tell
36
you
hours
why
max.
Wagner retired. Oh, suffered an injury to his left oblique, so maybe that's why.
There you go. It's tough to pitch with that your oblique.
Yeah, but he was really good until the end.
That was Bats chat.
Bats chat. I love it. That was some Cooperstown chat.
So what do you think? Today's Tuesday. When are they gonna wrap all this stuff up? All
Hopefully
their
in the next day or
coaching
two.
staff,
I think they
like
only
their
had their
key
first
coaching staff.
defensive coordinator interview today. So maybe, I don't know, who knows? Could be tomorrow, could be Thursday, could be anytime this week, but it'll be nice to get this over with, fill out the coaching staff, see who's around. And yeah, get this thing rolling. I think, as we said before, like I think the Patriots will probably wind up coming out of this coaching cycle looking good with who
Yeah.
they've come out with.
Here's the question, I guess, that should be asked, and I'm asking you because that way I don't have to answer it. Will a coach like Josh McDaniels, and when I say that, I mean someone who's, I don't know, he's been in the league for 20 years. You know, there's going to be a lot of older school elements in his offensive game plans and philosophies.
Mhm.
Is there anything about a coach like McDaniels who might limit the growth of Drake Maye? Do you think?
Um, it's it's possible. Like if he wants him to be like risk averse, maybe. Um, but ultimately, I think that's like he should be able to make plays within a contained offense well enough that like maybe you don't need him to take too many unnecessary risks. Ultimately, like no, I don't think in a major way. No, what do you
Yeah.
think?
I don't think so either. And I think like that's obviously the number one factor or thing to
Yeah,
consider is the quarterback and his development and his growth. I think he's experienced enough and has at least had experiences outside of Brady to understand that every quarterback's different. And I
yeah,
think, and McDaniels has talked about it a lot, you know, week 3, they'd have a different game plan than they had in week 2. And that's how sort of Bill ran his
yeah,
thing. And I think that's going to carry over even without Bill there,
yeah,
in that he's going to try to approach opponents differently. And so he's not going to say, all right, Drake has to run 10 times every week, but maybe he has to run 10 times against that defense because they're
right.
slow.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, for sure.
and so I think it's a good thing. And I think the biggest thing is, and it's not to be too reactionary to last year because you had an inexperienced head coach and you had an inexperienced offensive coordinator and there was no guidance and there was no leadership. The fact that I think Josh McDaniels is like a quadruple A head coach, you know?
Right.
He's
Yeah,
he's too good to be a coordinator, but maybe not good enough to be a head
right.
coach. And he's just going to, I don't want to say have a presence in the way that like Dan Campbell does, but he's going to
Yeah,
have a guiding presence for the offense and everyone's going to know what they're doing. Like it's going to be
yeah.
so much more smooth and functional that I think it's worth whatever you might be missing out in the growth difference between Hotshot McGee and Josh McDaniels.
Reached out to someone with the team after this news. Said he'll raise the standard of performance for everyone who works with him. I think that's a good encapsulation of kind of what you were saying. That yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's a professional offensive coordinator who, as you mentioned on last week's show, similar to what's his bucket, Cliff Kingsbury, probably too good to be an OC, but not quite good enough to be a head coach. So all in all, I think it's a positive, and I don't have any concerns about Drake Maye learning the new verbiage or anything like that. TC McCartney said he was the smartest guy in the building last year, and he was 22 years old. So it's not ideal to be going to a second coordinator in 2 years, but as we've mentioned 1,000 times, this should be as close to a like forever offensive coordinator as long as things go well for everyone on the team as you could possibly get. And I don't think you'll have the concern, barring a catastrophe, of having a third offensive coordinator in 3 years.
You have to do me a favor. At Josh McDaniels' inevitable press conference, whenever
Yeah.
that may be, you can be like, Josh, are you going to be the forever offensive coordinator? And just see what happens.
Are you be Drake Mays for the? You know what's kind of amazing? Hunter Henry now been around long enough, gone through enough offensive coordinators that now he's repeating them. It's incredible. 2021, he's got Josh McDaniels. 22, Matt Patricia. 23, Bill O'Brien. 24, Alex Van Pelt. 25 back to Josh McDaniels. Amazing run.
Maybe that means Patricia's coming back the year after. That would be sick.
Oh God.
Before we go, I have to ask you for some advice.
Yeah.
I had, when I bought this house last year, it had this lamp in it, and it's just like this kind of, I would say, unfashionable lamp. It's gold. It's got this little twist. It kind of looks like Loki's staff or something. I don't know. So I just put it on Facebook free, and Peggy, she's like, I want it. I'm like, Peggy, it's yours. Come get it. And she's like, well, I've been at the hospital all day visiting my husband, so I'm a little tired. Can I get it tomorrow? I'm like, all right, Peggy. And now I just opened my phone to look for that tweet, and there's like 12 people like, hey, I want the lamp. I want the lamp.
Oh
and
God.
It's like, I promised it to Peggy. What? They
You know what
never
I'm gonna
show.
say? There's enough interest in the lamp that if Peggy flakes,
Yeah.
there's enough people. And like, what's the harm in having it in your house for one more day? And
I hear you. I
don't
hear
want
you, but
people to come by at 8 p.m.
I'm so close to having it out of my house and out of my sight, which is the only thing that brings me joy at this point in my life, is like removing things from my house. And it's when it's free, they never come. They never come when it's free. When it's like $50 or whatever, they'll come.
Right.
It's like an exchange. But I guess I got to hold it for Peggy. I can't do Peggy like that. But
maybe you could say, like, how badly do you want this, Peggy?
She was quick. I like Marie, Anna. Maria is I can grab it tonight. And it's like, Maria, I haven't even responded. I responded to someone else. I got to say it's on hold. It's stressful giving stuff away for free on the internet.
Yeah, I'd say you should just ghost everyone.
Oh my God.
Another one?
Lenny just texted right now. I got to take it down.
You know what? You should take it down and sell it. Put it up for $50.
It's a piece of
So
garbage.
many people want it. All right, pay for it. Start bidding on the thread.
I'll start a group chat.
Yeah,
who
just
really
say, like,
wants it?
All right, I'm going to start the bidding at $1. Who's willing to go $1? And then see who's going to offer the most.
It's
you got a hot commodity on your hands. You have no taste in lamps.
Oh, it's a headache. I sold my childhood stunt bike last winter just to get rid of it. It was worth like $600. I sold it for like $250 because I was like, I don't know. It needs a chain. I don't know.
Speaking of like baseball and football cards, I want to sell a bunch of them. I'm like, I'm gonna go to a store and they're gonna be like, I'll give you like $50 for all these. Then I'm gonna be like, I don't know, I guess. It's a pain in the ass.
They're gonna bully you.
I'm fine with it, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, we said we were gonna do a 30-minute show. It's nearing 45 minutes. So make sure to rate, review, subscribe.
I will update everyone on the lamp next podcast because I don't want to leave anyone hanging.
It's probably gonna be like tomorrow morning at this rate.
It's as stressful as the week-long break between Severance episodes. That's how I'm sure people will follow.
Yeah, when's that coming back? Friday?
It came back Friday, but
no. Episode 2 is gonna be on Friday.
Yeah, I forgot it was a weekly thing, so I was geared up for like 3.5 hours to sit Friday, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." It's for the best. You get to soak it in more. But it was a tough blow for me. Anyways, Pat's chat is like that.
It's true. Well, not this week because now you're getting episodes back-to-back days.
True.
But rate, review, subscribe, leave comments, tell us what we were morons about. Even if we didn't actually say it, still say it. That's a trend I'm noticing now in comments where like people will criticize us for things that I don't think we even said. But
but we do say a lot.
Someone commented like, "There's no way Josh McDaniels is gonna be Ben Johnson's quarterback's coach." I was like, "Who said that?"
I think we said, would Detroit consider McDaniels, and maybe that confused the commenter, thinking Ben Johnson would be the head coach of the Lions.
Right. He's not, though. That job's taken. It's Dan Campbell's job. I don't know.
Yeah.
But even if we didn't say it, still tell us we're wrong about it.
I just briefly looked at our comments here, and Vincent, not Brisby, but I think it's Vincent Brisby, said, imagine all the Brady film Drake gets to look at. That's the part that sucks. It'd be cool if you had McDaniels and like he could call Brady in on a Zoom and be like, Drake. But you can't because freaking the Patriots let the Raiders seduce Tom Brady.
It's so dumb that he's a co-owner of the Raiders.
It sucks. It sucks. I'll say it every day in my life. It sucks. I know
why the Raiders?
Rich people aren't rich because they give stuff away. But if
Yeah.
there's anyone that's owed something, it's Tom Brady and a stake of the New England Patriots, because he took that franchise beyond places anyone ever imagined. I've said this, I'll say it again. They should change the name of the stadium to Tom Brady Stadium. The statue should be Brady's legs spread out over Route 1.
Yep.
The stadium should be
Between
the
parking
foot
lots.
of the entire football stadium should be the foot of Tom Brady. That's how big the Tom Brady statue. You should be able to see it from Boston. It should be like the biggest statue of all time. They should change the town Foxborough to Brady. But none of this is happening because he co-owns or partly owns the friggin' Raiders.
Yeah.
A franchise
He
and a
grew
fan
up
base.
in the Bay Area as a 49ers fan. Like, what are we
And
doing
now-
here? They're in Las Vegas. He has no ties to Las Vegas.
And that organization gave a middle finger to everyone that grew up around Brady that liked the Raiders.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they had left. I mean, they were the LA Raiders. I get it. It's just that's a fan base that hated him for the past 20 plus years.
Yeah.
They think the Snow Bowl was garbage. Then now,
Well, they don't even
it's
call
all
it that.
so
They call it the
stupid.
Tuck Rule game.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's dumb.
They still believe he fumbled, even though he owns the team.
Yeah, I mean, he
Odd situation.
did, but
I don't love
that's the rule, baby. Deal with it. Anyways, let's do the Snow Bowl
Picture that
talk.
game
next
on my
time.
wall. I went to it. I was there.
You were there.
I was there.
Wow.
I've got the program around here somewhere too. I won't bore anyone with trying to find. Oh, it's right here. Sorry, hold on.
This is good.
This is for the YouTube viewers. So this is the program from the Snow Bowl 2001
Wow.
divisional round. It looks like shit because it snowed that entire game. So
Yes,
it got
it did.
real wet.
Shout
but
out
now
Fleet
it's in
Bank.
this little plastic covering thing. There's even, hold on.
You got the roster sheet in there.
Nope, even better. I don't think I'd be giving away any personal information here, but it is the Ticketmaster order for the game.
$45 a pop.
We paid
or 90 a pop?
$106.25 to go to that game. It was on Saturday, January 29th. We bought tickets that morning on January 19th, 2002. That year for Christmas, the 2001 Christmas, my dad said that he would take me to like a Celtics game or a Bruins game or something like that for Christmas. Wound up taking me to the Snow Bowl. So pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet. Yeah. That is
$45 a pop plus convenience, handling, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So I was there. It was fun.
That was better than a Celtics game in 2001-02, I'm going to say.
It certainly was.
You could have seen Antoine Walker brick some threes, but
yeah, I had heard from like friends at school that like sometimes if you call the morning of a game, they release tickets back in the day.
Sure.
I don't know why that was the case.
Probably
sitting.
They probably put aside for families of players.
Right. And then if
whatever
someone didn't claim
yeah.
them, then they go to
Where'd you sit?
in the end zone, not the end zone where Vinatieri hit the game winner, but the opposite end zone. So I think it was like the penultimate field goal that he hit in our end zone. And then
that was the crazier field goal.
Right. Yeah.
Because the game winner was chip shot.
No one had any idea what the hell was going on during the Tuck Rule inside the stadium.
Yes.
Like zero clue whatsoever what was going on. Last game at Foxborough Stadium.
It's true.
So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I was at a Sweet 16 party of a friend, and we had the game on with bunny ears. That's how long ago it was. We had the bunny ears in the club, or whatever you call it. Social club.
Yeah. Yeah, so
not as good as yours, but it speaks to the time because as we know, we were both 15, 16 around that time.
It's true. Josh McDaniels, not a 2004 guy, a 1994 high school graduate, because I believe he's 38?
48.
So 48, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
look at that.
40. All right. Well, now we've gone 50 minutes.
What else do you want to talk about? I saved. I'll tell you this, Doug. I went. I bought some tickets to see Coheed and Cambria and Taking Back Sunday in August, Labor Day weekend. But I said, Ticketmaster, not this time, buddy. So I went to the box office and purchased them in person and saved $14 per ticket. So if you see Ticketmaster stock dropping and if you see them file for bankruptcy, you'll know that it was Michael Hurley that did them in.
Wait, where is a box office?
MGM, the day MGM Fenway Music Hall, if they have a show that night, they open the box office at 3 and you can walk up and you pay them and then they text you your tickets and then you hit a button and then you're in your Ticketmaster app.
That's like some Strawberries type stuff going on there. I used to buy tickets at Strawberries. Or
Yeah,
like
but
you go to like Macy's or JCPenney, one of those had a box office.
Macy's. But
Yeah.
I think Tower Records did too. But
Mm.
you also didn't have a laptop that could connect to the internet and buy tickets at the time where you'd get charged $55 in fees for no reason. So it was you had to do the work. And now if you just do a little work, you too can shut Ticketmaster down like I did.
Did you know that? Do you know Dakota Randall?
Yes.
He told me that if you buy airline tickets at the airport on like a Tuesday or something, it's like one Tuesday a month or something crazy like that. Like you avoid a bunch of fees. So I think they live close to an airport, so it works for them. It probably doesn't work so well for me since I'm like 40 minutes from every airport. But if you're like looking to save a lot of money, try to look into what Dakota does, because apparently if you just show up at the airport and buy tickets that way, you can save yourself some cash.
That's crafts chat as in aircrafts.
Yeah.
And,
I did have. I think I was one other thing about some old Josh McDaniels, Mike Vrabel era Patriots stuff, as I'm struggling to get this program back in this protective sleeve. I'm probably going to wind up messing up even more. The playoff game against the Titans was that the 2003 season?
yes.
My band played a show that night, and I was looking at
cool.
pictures recently of like old shows that we played, and we had the game on in like the back of the room, and I had duct taped onto my cab McNair sucks. So
Wow.
it's yeah.
That
Big Sporto.
was it's very cold out now. It's like whatever 9
Oh, it was
degrees
so
out.
cold. Yeah.
That game is so like all of us that grew up here, that spent our lives here, remember that cold for whatever. Like it's been that cold, but there's something about that night. I stopped in Winchester Center to buy Tostitos and salsa at like CVS or whatever, and the walk from the car to the store almost broke me. Like it was it was probably the coldest I've experienced here in the Boston area.
Well, that was the same winter that they canceled school because it was too cold.
That was a great day. Awesome.
We were like, all right, we'll have band practice and go to Taco Bell. So like we didn't avoid the cold. We just didn't go to school that day. It was sick.
Right. I think they couldn't afford to heat the schools. That's what it was. Shout out to the cold.
Too much heat. All right.
Well, we did it. We should stop. We could.
Yeah. We're done. We'll go down memory lane for some other things.
What's your favorite color?
My 7-year-old daughter asked me this a lot. My favorite colors are teal and black. I'm used to answering that. What's yours?
I always have a different answer. I don't know. Green.
Wow.
Blue.
Do you have a least favorite color?
No, I don't. I like all colors.
Not a big yellow, orange guy.
I like orange.
Don't wear them a lot, at least.
Yeah.
All right. Rate, review, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Tell us your favorite color. Comment with your favorite color. Bye.